everyone, Will and Eric here from Mature Minded Gamers, and today we're going to be talking to you about Camel Up Off-Season from Pretzel Games. This one is his ages 8 and up, designed for 3 to 5 players, plays around 45 minutes. So let's take a look at how the game works. We'll be right back with our review. Here we have Camel Up Off-Season set up for a 2-player game. Now the game setup is actually fairly quite simple. We've got our player board set up here, we've got our tent set up here, we've got our market here with the market cards face down, we've got our coin supply, as well as with a 2-player game we have 4 markets face up here on the blue side. We've also placed out market cards corresponding to each of these based on these numbers here with 2 face up, 1 face down, 2 face up, 2 face down, 3 face up, 2 face up, 3 face down on those respective markets. This game is played over a series of rounds in which consists of 3 phases: an auction phase, a market phase, and a sell phase. During the auction phase, players are going to be bidding for the first player marker. If there is a tie, then players will be continuing to bid again, and if again there's still a tie, and there's still a tie, then this first player marker will stay with the player who had it previous. The second phase is the market phase. Each player will choose a different market tile, starting with the player with the first player token, and they will select one of the markets. Now once they do that, they're going to choose a market tile, they're going to take any coins that are on the markets, they're going to activate its ability, which is completely up to the player if they want to use that ability or not. Now each of these markets do have a completely unique ability, and what's really nice is the game does come with a handy market reference that does go over what each of these icons do and how it'll affect the gameplay. Then they're going to take all of the goods cards from the market and reveal any face down cards if applicable. Now then players are going to have to place those goods on one of their camels. Now each camel can hold, this camel for example, can hold 3 goods, 4 goods, 5 goods, and 6 goods. Now the interesting thing is each camel can only hold one type of good. So for example, if I were to take these cards here, I could place them however I want on my camels, but I couldn't place 2 different color goods on the same camel. Now play is going to continue like that until every player has selected a market and chosen which cards they want to activate. So like for example, this player wants to activate, flip over these. They want to place their cloth here, they'll place their pottery here, they're going to flip these over, another pottery, so that's good, and then they can place their wool. It has to go on this here. Then the third phase of the game is going to be going, or the round is going to be going over the sell phase. Now there are these reference cards that every player will get that's going to go over what each of the types of goods they can sell is. So for example, you have some different colored types of wool, you have some different types of fruit, you have some different types of pottery, and then there's also the card that goes over the different types or the different amounts of beans. So during the sell phase, you can sell, like let's say this player has some stuff here and they want to sell their fruit, for example. So every time they sell their oranges are going to be worth 3 coins. Okay. Now there are only 9 coins or 9 oranges in the entire deck, 7 bananas, 5 pineapples, and 11 pomegranates. So you got to kind of like play your wages here as far as like, man, am I going to be able to get more oranges? You do have to sell from cheapest to most expensive. So if I had pomegranates, I'd have to sell that before I could sell the oranges. And when you go to sell your dates, for example, you do have to sell them in sets. So 3 dates is worth 2 coins, 6 dates is worth 6, 9 dates is worth 11, 12 dates is worth 17, and 15 dates is worth 24. Now the fact that you can try to get 15 dates on one camel, I mean that's going to be kind of hard. In the cloth aspect, you have to sell for every 2 wool that you sell, you're going to get 3 coins. So for example, the player over here, if he sells these 2, is going to get 3 coins. Now the interesting thing of what's going to happen is the next round, these are going to get flipped over. A coin is going to get placed on the 2 that did not get selected. The auction phase begins again. These get filled up. So for example, we've got 2 face-up goods here, 3 face-down goods, so we don't know what they are. And this one here is going to just get 3 face-down goods from the top of the stack. Auction phase will begin again. And this time, let's say this player had 1. They're going to choose, let's say they choose this, and they flip these over, which is actually quite good for this player, because this is going to be able to go here. If they had instead accidentally flipped over another wool as well, if this one was one of the real cards, this would bust, meaning their camel is overburdened. They lose all of these wool, and they go to the discard pile underneath the market supply. Play is going to continue like that until there are no more cards in the market deck, and you have to draw some, but you can't. And the player with the most coins at the end is the winner.
Alright, so we just finished this Camel Up.
Off season.
Right. So we always had to debate with the old one if it was Camel Up or Camel Cup. This one is definitely Camel Up.
Definitely Camel Up.
You're stacking things, right? Camel Cup, you were racing camels, completely different.
So it's Camel Cup on the other one, Camel Up off season on this one.
I'd always give him crap that he was wrong before, but now I have to admit, I was wrong, he is right.
Well, regardless of what actually the name of the game is, but this one is Camel Up off season, and this one we had an absolute blast with a completely different game than I was expecting. I was expecting, another Camel Cup racing game, but this is completely different.
I was too, and I read people's reviews, and a lot of people didn't like it as well. They said it was too simple, but I had a blast with it. Like, it was exactly what I wanted out of this game. I don't want a super overcomplicated game sometimes, and Camel Cup was not overcomplicated either, and that's why I loved it, right? Racing was fun. My family could all play it. We could introduce it to new people, and they would get it and understand it. But it wasn't like a simple game at the same time. It was the perfect medium.
Sure.
And Camel Up does the exact same thing with the whole stacking and the bidding aspect, right?
Right.
And I really like that.
So even for like me, for us, as far as advanced players who play lots of games all the time, at first I was like, oh, that's going to be, why would you ever not be able to stack things and just pick cards and pick the one with the most? But when you got into the later rounds, it was like, oh man, stuff started falling off your camels, and you really like, oh, I'm not going to get these points, I got to ditch something, and which pack do I pick? And the first couple rounds, it's kind of slow, but once you get into the later rounds, it's awesome. I had an absolute blast. I think I came in dead last. I'm pretty sure I came in dead last, but I still had an absolute blast playing the game, trying to move the different things at the different markets around to make sure that it's like, oh, I think, this person's needing this, so I'm going to make sure that I maybe manipulate the market a little bit by the different actions. And I love how on every turn things change, and it gives a lot of variety. You never know what cards are going to be there. I had an absolute blast with this. Card quality is really good. Mm-hmm. The components, the little tents, little flimsy, but I mean, for what they do, they just cover up how many resources you have for the most part.
I thought it was cute, very themed. It was, it was exactly what I wanted out of it, like I said.
Yeah.
And the price point's right, and the quality's there. So, man, I would definitely recommend Camel Up off-season to anyone who's looking for something that's going to be kind of a middle-weight game, you'd say. Not too hard to pick up. Gonna expose people to a lot of new game mechanics that maybe they've never seen before. I mean, we've seen them in other games, but we're gamers, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not doing anything brand new, but for people who play like Monopoly and stuff like that, they're gonna see a lot of new mechanics that they may have never saw before.
Sure, we could talk about Monopoly, but we're not gonna talk about Monopoly. So Camel Up
version of Monopoly
off season is definitely a game that I think anyone can play. 8 and up, as long as you can understand as far as like stacking things. And not physically stacking, so it's not like dexterity or anything when it comes to up. It's literally like just card using. So, but just that thought process of where to put things and how many are in each deck, and almost like card counting. I had an absolute blast. I can't say that enough. So please check this one out. I think you're really gonna like it if you like fun, engaging, everyone can play games. So, alright, this is Will and Eric from Mature Minded Gamers talking to you about Camel Up off season from Pretzel Games. Be sure to check out all of our other great content on maturemindedgamers.com. We do video games, board games, and so much more. So we'd love to have you join us in our Discord as well. So hit that like and subscribe. Until next time, everyone stay safe and take care.
Game on, everybody.